moved to Korea, was sitting around in a bar one night. Guy at the end of the bar starts talking about this place called Koh Samui in Thailand. And I'd never been to Asia. I was a month into my time in Korea, and it sounded so good that that a week later, me and a buddy just hopped on a plane. Next thing we did have one night in Bangkok.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to the One Night in Bangkok podcast. If you guys are new here, my name is Eric, and I've been living in Bangkok for 5 years now. I'm originally from the US, but found myself here and couldn't dream of living anywhere else. Tonight, we have one of my favorite YouTubers from here in Bangkok. We've got Chris Parker from Retired Working For You. You should check out his channel. I'm going to link it below. And guys, if you are coming to Bangkok, if you are thinking about moving here, hit the subscribe button. We've got so many cool people coming on, and I don't want you to miss anything. Chris, I want to tell you how I first came to know you.
Okay.
So it was, I think, June 2020, in the middle of the whole pandemic situation. I'm stuck in Boston.
Yep.
I'm miserable. I'm sitting alone in a small apartment, eating crappy takeout food. I open up my laptop, and this very energetic Canadian pops on my screen. And the thing that struck me about you was you're so positive, especially during that time where I feel like a lot of people were going through a lot of hard things. And I have a feeling that it wasn't just me that latched onto it, but a lot of people in those first few months, that first year during the pandemic. I think you had a really unique thing. So back in like June of that year, May of that year, is that when you started the whole YouTube thing?
That's basically when I started. That's when I started this kind of iteration of it. It started a couple of months before that, right when everything got locked down. But the first 2 months was just me doing push-ups. That was it. And then in June, I think exactly June, maybe May, on the ferry back to Bangkok, I decided I didn't start the channel to start a channel. I just started the channel to live stream, connect with buddies locked in back home in Canada, and just do push-ups. The number of Canadians that had died each day, the next day I'd do that many push-ups, and just as a way to connect with buddies back home. And then I kind of got bit by the bug to make videos again. And on the ferry back, going to Bangkok, I decided, you know what, I'm actually going to make some videos about Thailand and turn this into an actual channel, or at least give it a try.
You were so different than everything else online at that time. And I think that combined with everybody stuck at home, dreaming about getting back to Thailand, because I was living here at that time, but I went home and then I got locked out. And like a lot of people, that was like my 30 minutes of, happiness every day, just going online and seeing what was happening here. So, I mean, you must have been aware that there were a lot of people like me.
At the time, I wasn't really aware of it. I was just out making videos, doing my thing. But over the last few years, I've had so many people come up to me and say that. They were like, you were my lifeline during COVID. I want you to know this. Like I was stuck at home, and it didn't really compute, because in Thailand, we weren't stuck that first year. It was wide open. We had complete freedom.
If you were here.
If you were here.
Yeah,
So I couldn't wrap my head around what the rest of the world was going through. I knew, obviously, but it was hard to really relate to it. And so I didn't realize what a kind of escape hatch that was for people out there, locked in apartments and houses all over the place.
Yeah. But you said you didn't come here with the intention of doing YouTube. So let's kind of rewind the tape a little. You're from Canada, and what brought you to Thailand? What made you move here, and why did you come here the first time? Was it like a holiday trip, or what happened?
Yeah, the very, very first time, 30 years ago this year. It was July 94. I was 22 years old, had just moved to Korea, had just finished school, moved to Korea, for an adventure, for the unknown. Was sitting around in a bar one night. guy at the end of the bar starts talking about this place called Koh Samui in Thailand. And I'd never been to Asia. I was a month into my time in Korea, and it sounded so good that that a week later, me and a buddy just hopped on a plane. Next thing, we did have one night in Bangkok before heading down to Samui in July '94. That was quite the night. There's a story there for sure. And then down to Samui, fell in love with the place and kept coming back for 25 straight years, always dreaming one day I'll move there. One day I'll move there. And then in 2019, just decided, TikTok, like it's time to do it. And so we did it.
Now, I think my friends included, my family, they think it's crazy when people like me decide to move here in 2020. But for you, 30 years ago, this was before Thailand was more mainstream. This was before movies like The Hangover or that one with Leonardo DiCaprio, The Beach.
Oh, The Beach.
The Beach.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons I was so intrigued about moving here. There's that opening scene of him on Khao San Road and staying in the hostel and then going out to the islands. But you were kind of living that for real.
Was living that. And I remember when The Beach, the book came out. I don't know if you ever read the book by Alex Garland. You know who he is?
No, I didn't know.
He's come on to be a big director. You ever see the movie Ex Machina?
Yeah, oh, it's one of my favorite movies.
He wrote and directed that.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And if you Google him, he's done a lot of stuff. But the very first thing he did was write a book called The Beach. And back then, man, that was like the backpacker Bible because he was writing that all about the places we were hanging out, kind of living that wildlife. And so, that was a iconic piece of writing. And the book is way better than the movie.
Okay. And back then, you must be seeing such amazing things, but it's not like everybody had a smartphone then. So you must be thinking, oh, I wish my friends back home could be seeing this. Did you try to tell them some of the stories but they just don't get it, right?
Well, they don't get it, but I was 6 months in Asia, flew home, went, met all my old buddies, started regaling them with stories of what goes on over here in the life. And this was Korea and Thailand, a bit of both, just Asia in general. And over the next 12 months, one by one, almost every single one of them moved over here.
Wow.
Yeah. And I got like 5 of them. Buddies from when we were 20, like lifelong 30-year buddies living in Thailand now.
Yeah, I mean, now it's easy to move here, to be honest. I mean, we have the internet, we have iPhones. It's not such a big sacrifice. But back then, I mean, I think there really was much more of a sacrifice. There were benefits, but you lost out on the ease of communication about, you can buy things on Lazada now here or Shopee. Obviously that wasn't around back then. So when you first visited here, I mean, you weren't living here permanently back then, right? 30 years ago?
No, I was living in Korea.
Okay, but even in Korea, were there things you had to get used to? Like you couldn't get some of the things that you did back home in Canada or? Yeah,
but that's the reason I came. I came to discover something different. I didn't want to just kind of live life that was just going down the same road that I see most people go down and stuff. So all of that stuff was stuff that like fueled me, that excited me. All the stuff that was different and weird and wild and as far as the communication goes, like there's good and bad to everything. You mentioned my videos being positive. It's a choice, really.
Right.
You got Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. You can choose which side to go on, and I just think going down the positive side's more fun. And so the communication stuff like that I'd say that was a bit of a plus because you felt just more in the moment, just more like, that we just come down with Lonely Planet books and follow along and find these beaches and places and huts and things to do.
Speaking of Lonely Planet, it's funny. I was thinking about this before you came. I don't know if things like Lonely Planet or TripAdvisor are as popular now when researching like new destinations. I think you are the new Lonely Planet. Is that weird to think about?
I never thought of it that way, but yeah, I guess like no one's really picking up a travel guide and reading it anymore,
Yeah.
and I would imagine you're right. Like very few people are going to blogs even anymore, like YouTube. YouTube's
Yeah.
got it all the info. No matter where you are in the world, there's going to be someone posting what to do when you get there.
So you said you were living in Korea. Did you go there for work or for school or what?
I went there to get a job. I just got a one-way ticket 3 days 3 days after I graduated university. Ended up getting a one-way ticket to Seoul and didn't know how long I was going to stay. Thought maybe a year, and just went there to do what everyone else was doing at the time, teach English and start life and see where it all leads.
Did you find that the Korean people are accepting of foreigners or not so much?
Back then, not as much as now. There's like two sides to Korea, ones that are very accepting and ones that aren't. And parts of society were accepting. Like back then they had a hunger. This was the start of the Korean Renaissance, man, when we've all seen what Korea's done in the last 30 years, become a global powerhouse in all kinds of industries, including entertainment. And this was kind of the start of that movement, and so they were hungry to learn English. So they really welcomed you in, and Koreans are pretty welcoming people. But try dating one of their girls, and suddenly back then in particular, it became very unwelcoming.
Okay, I guess I wouldn't do too well in Korea then.
Oh, no, you navigate it. You just won't meet their parents too often. First time I met my girlfriend, who's now my wife's parents, we get to her house, and her father swings the door open, gruff old Korean man, and he looks me up and down, and he's like, sour look on his face. He's like, "Can I see ID?"
Like he's the bouncer at a club.
I thought he was kidding, so I'm laughing at, oh, that's a good one. He goes, "Show me your ID," and I give him my ID. He looks at me and he's like, "Don't you think it's a problem that you're white?"
Really?
Oh yeah, that was my introduction. That was my introduction to
I
the
gotta
family.
be honest, if that was my my introduction to my girl's family, I probably would have taken my ID and said, "Thank you very much," and turned around and left.
Oh yeah, but that was par for the course back then. Like that's just how it was. So, and that quickly turned to everything was fine, but it was a rude awakening to kind of have that be the intro. It was funny.
Yeah, I've never been to Korea, but I'm assuming, you sound like you travel a lot. So you've been all around Asia at this point?
You might think that, but not really. Like there's still a ton of places I haven't been.
Hey, where haven't you been?
Never been to Vietnam. Never
Really?
been to Laos, never been to Cambodia.
Really?
And I could basically...
You walk there.
I could basically walk
Yeah.
there. Yeah. So, that was the plan. You'd asked me, why I moved here. It wasn't to start a YouTube channel. It was just to get over here. Bangkok as a base. One of the beauties is it's one of the best places to base up in Asia because you can hop everywhere so quick and cheap. So the plan was, every few months take a trip. And then obviously that got
that was my
shut
plan
down.
too. And then shortly after I came here, the world shut down.
That was it.
Yeah.
And I'm just about to shake the rust off that. Coming out of COVID, it's like I just forgot almost. And I got so used to being in Thailand and doing domestic travel in Thailand that I haven't really kicked back that international component, but that's all going to start this year. That's one thing that I want to remind myself to shake off that COVID rust, go see some of these places.
And we're lucky here in Thailand because, we've got the mega city, Bangkok, we've got mountains, nature, we've got islands and beaches. There's so many different places and types of destinations within Thailand, all basically within an hour flight. It's almost like, well, what's the point in going, somewhere else? We're spoiled here. So I can see how you can...
Super spoiled, and the best kind of vibes that I can find, after spending so much time here during COVID and just getting back from Canada and trip to Korea, places that I still love. But man, you realize how good we have it here. Like just the overall vibes, the warmth of the people, lifestyle here is different than other places.
Yeah. So about 30 years ago, you went over to Korea, you made your first trip to Thailand, but then you went back to Canada, right?
Yeah, I was 4 years in Asia, kind of through my mid-20s, then went back to Canada when I was in 98, so I guess I was 26 when I went back.
And then you started up life there, and One interesting thing about you that I didn't know until I met you quickly a few weeks ago is you had like a film production business in North America. So
Right.
tell me about that, because I think if people have seen your channel and then you explain this, things make a lot more sense, because your production skills, I feel like, are so far above a lot of other people doing YouTube. And now I know why. So tell me about your business there.
Yeah, so I went back in '98 and just kind of bummed around for a couple of years. I called it an early retirement. Took 2 years and traveled across Canada, living in, anywhere from a VW bus to a hippie commune in the forest. And then after 2 years, the money ran out and it was time to kind of decide what to do. So I'm 28 years old and thought, and I was documenting, I was making videos similar to my YouTube videos.
Really? What are you shooting on?
That was like a mini DV camera.
Okay.
I think the TRV 900 Sony. I bought it from.
Is it a disc or a tape?
No, a tape.
Oh, okay.
Mini DV tape, and I bought it from a black market in Japan back in like '97 or '98, and just started making videos. And editing was like VHS to VHS, play pause, and I got tons of videos from the late '90s, but there was nowhere to play them.
Right.
There was no YouTube. I doubt there was even Google. But I was making videos just to make them, and so loved it. So I thought, time to choose a career, an industry, and see what happens. And I picked the film industry. Like everyone, went into it thinking I'm going to be a director. The amount of people you see on film sets serving coffees who are going to be a director, it's everybody. And I was one of them. And got a job just as a PA, getting coffees. How do you like your latte, sir? Started there, and then just started to see the natural progression of how you could advance realistically, and so chose to do that. And then, in the early 2000s, me and a couple friends started a business where we supplied some equipment and services for film sets, and then that just started to grow from there. And then, the big moment was when 35 millimeter film went to digital, when the digital cameras came out, first one being the red camera. Now all camera companies, the high end ones, cinema camera companies started making digital. Back then it was the red camera, and that changed everything. And I just happened to be geeking out over all that stuff at the time, and I fashioned a solution for the workflow. That what I found out later was quite rare. There was me in Toronto and one guy in LA, and that was kind of it. And so the studios swung their doors open and said, "Well, how do you do this?" The big film processing companies wanted nothing to do with it because it was going to cannibalize their businesses.
Yeah, because they're in denial.
They're in total denial, and they would have had to cannibalize themselves, kind of like Nokia.
Right.
When the iPhones came out, they could have been they sold more phones than anyone in the world. They could have, if they launched the first Android phone, they would have been Samsung. But they're scared of that, right? Big companies think differently. They get scared of stuff. And so that was just a huge opportunity. So we started and grown and opened offices in Vancouver, Atlanta, LA, New York, New Mexico. And next thing you know, we started with 5 staff, ended up with like 550.
Wow.
Yeah, it was nuts.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so that's what you were doing the entire time before you made the move to Thailand.
Yep. Did that for 20 years.
Wow.
10 years I was going out on sets myself, just me in a van and a bunch of gear as an on-set editor.
Was your gear used for anything we would know?
Oh, yeah, we did. Tons of, we were big in TV. We did a bunch of movies too, but, and we expanded to supply cameras, lights. We had a full service shop. So we were a supplier. So I'm not on the non-sexy side of the business, like not the creative side. We supplied all the gear and post-production services. So we supplied all the cameras for Stranger Things, did all the final color correction for Game of Thrones.
Oh, that little show, Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Well, that was a huge moment for us. We wanted to get into final color grading, and we landed Game of Thrones. That was a big deal. Tons of stuff, like The Watchmen, Deadpool. Like like everything that you see on Netflix. Like
Yeah.
we were doing a lot of it.
So our backgrounds are somewhat similar because before I moved here, but even now, I have a business in the U.S. and we do like concert and nightlife production. And I think a lot of people think these movies and stuff, they don't really understand how it works behind the scenes. They might think that they buy the cameras, they buy all the equipment, but it's not like that because this gear is so expensive. I mean, how much is a single camera and lens combination?
Well, it varies a lot. You know, the camera body, just the body would be $100,000 for an Arri Alexa, which is what everyone would be using when I left the industry. You know, Sony's come on in the recent years. But a full package, like there's so much more to it than just the camera. A full camera package, we generally rent out for $25,000 a week.
Yeah, 25,000 a week, and
that's the rental.
Yeah, sure.
A lighting, I mean, that's nothing compared to the lights.
Sure.
Like lighting for a movie, you could rent it. You could do 1.52 million bucks.
Oh my God.
In rental.
Yeah, so we do like concerts and nightlife stuff. So not at that level, but if we do a show or a tour or something, we're renting lighting stuff, special effects stuff, sound stuff. Same thing. You know, we're not buying it all and then housing it. We're renting it by the day or by the week or sometimes by the month. So.
And what do you do with the shows?
We produce mostly EDM shows.
Okay.
And we actually do a lot for universities. So universities will have like a big spring concert or something, and they'll buy our show, and then we'll produce the whole thing from start to finish. Like they'll give us a field, and then it looks like, you know.
Oh, wow. So you set up the whole thing festival style.
I'm not, well, actually, sometimes I'm up there cranking the wrench, but, you know, we subcontract some things. We do some things in-house. We have our own, like, performers and everything.
And then is there a promoter that brings the talent, or are you guys doing that too?
Well, for universities, it's kind of built in because the students just show up because it's on their campus. We do public shows, and those we sell tickets. So we're kind of like a full 360.
But you're booking the DJs?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you're the promoter too.
Right, yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was cool because some of those things are similar. And that's the way I got into the video thing, is because, you know, it's not always easy to get good coverage. So I learned more and more and more about photo and video, and then eventually I could do it myself. So
like during my 2 years in between Korea and starting the film business, I did rave visuals in Toronto in the rave heydays, back when they were cranking out like 17,000 person raves. We do visuals for like Paul Oakenfold, Fat Boy, like all the big ones.
Oh, cool.
And that taught me a lot. Like it just taught me, and that was a small part. Like the people that were doing what you were doing, they were my buddies, and they had crazy shit going on. Our part was to just, you know, make the visuals go up on all the screens and stuff. But it taught me a lot about video making as well, and just kind of breaking rules and just being creative, because the film business regimented lots of rules. The rave visuals, it's like, you know, all bets are off. Let's just make cool looking shit that's experimental, and so those things have stuck with me.
Cool. I think that's the greatest thing about doing creative things like this, whether it's renting gear for TV shows or working on concerts or doing YouTube. You get to meet so many interesting people. You know, I think if I just worked in an office somewhere in a cubicle 8 hours a day, not saying there's anything wrong with that, but this is definitely something I like, is the meeting different people things. So in Bangkok's a great place for that. So
yeah, the only reason I survived North America, I would say, is because I avoided the cubicle in the office right up until the last 3 years. Which is when I started hating it, which is why I left and came back to live in Asia. But I couldn't agree more with what you're saying, man. It's the only way I got through 20 years there, because the film business is its own little subcontinent of fun people doing fun things, you know, lots of good times to be had there. But if I was stuck in a typical corporate office environment, man, I wouldn't have lasted.
Around 2019 now is when you made the choice to come over here?
Yep. Summer 2019.
So before COVID, but what was the catalyst for you saying, you know what, I want to move across the world?
I'd always thought there would be a day when I would move here. Never thought I'd do it until our daughter, by that point, until our daughter finished high school. 2019, she had just finished 10th grade. So she's literally halfway through high school, 15 years old. The last time that most people would decide to kind of pick up and move across the world. But as I was saying at the time, my job, the fun had gone from it. It became corporate. To grow that much, we had to bring in a lot of finance people, and now there's a bunch of people making you look at spreadsheets all day instead of talking to, you know, cinematographers and just being part of making shows. It was more managing budgets and stuff. So I had had enough, and my wife and I chatted, and it was like, you know what? The more we talked about it, we thought it'll probably be good for our daughter to get out of LA, finish high school in Bangkok, and get a little taste of a different part of the world. So we just said, screw it, let's do it right now.
Yeah, I know so many people probably thought you were crazy at the time, but I so agree with that mindset because a lot of people I talk to, especially back in the US, they have this mentality of like, oh, sometime in the future or when I retire, some, you know, but you don't know how many years you have left. And you know, I think a lot of people get to old age and they regret not taking that chance or making that trip or making the move sooner. So good for you for not only making the jump, but also being, you know what, I think this is going to be good for my daughter too, because that's definitely not an easy decision.
No, it wasn't an easy decision. She hated our guts when it was all going down, but she would be the first to tell you, because she told us a year later, I'm so glad you guys made me move here, because it's now a part of her that she loves. And yeah, man, like you only live once. It's cliche to say, but it's true. And you could next year yourself to the point where you're suddenly wake up 70 years old and you haven't lived any of your dreams. It's like, man, you got one life. Like, gotta
What did your
enjoy it.
wife think about this whole situation?
She's Korean. So, you know, coming back to Asia was nothing new for her. She was super supportive. I almost broke down. Like when our daughter started freaking out, I was like the soft one. I'm like, oh, we're ruining her life. You know, like, let's just stay. We'll just stay. And she's like, what are you talking about? She's 15. She's not making the decisions around here. We already agreed it'd be good for her. So she kind of, you know, was amazing and pushed it across the finish line, I would say.
Yeah. Was it hard to get, because it's one thing coming here as like a single person, but to bring a family, was it hard to get adjusted at first, or how was that?
We'd been coming every year for you know, 25 years. Our daughter had been here 8 times, 9 times.
Okay.
So it was still a bit of an adjustment because we lived in Bangkok only for school reasons. We'd always just gone down to Koh Samui. That's where our friends are. That's where our Thailand life kind of was. And so Bangkok was a bit of an adjustment. But, you know, we'd always lived in big cities. We were excited about it. The school was an adjustment for our daughter, for sure, because it was a completely different school system. But my wife and I, like, we were retired at the time. You know, I wasn't doing YouTube, so we didn't have much stress, and so it wasn't too bad for us.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I guess if you don't have to worry about work so much and you've been here a bunch, then it takes a lot of that edge off. So
Yeah, I would imagine there's lots of people out there, like if you haven't been to Asia or spent much time in Asia, the adjustment would be pretty
you
big.
should have seen me on the first day here. I mean, I was like trying to get a BTS card. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, I can't read these signs. And I mean, luckily, you know, Thai people are very nice. They're very warm and willing to help you. So, you know, that was good. But
that was me when I moved to Korea. So I'd gone through that, like moving to Asia. Oh my God, what the hell? How do I get anywhere? How do I do I don't speak their language. How does this all work? I went through all that when I moved to Korea. So I'd been through that. And so it wasn't, you know, it wasn't a shock to the system. For me, reverse culture shock when I moved back from Asia was the worst that I've ever experienced.
oh yeah, because you mean the first time?
First time. And if I ever had to move back again, it would be shocking.
Well, I feel like in the last 5-10 years, I don't know about Canada, but the U.S. has changed so much. You know, you've you just went back to Canada, right? This past week?
Yeah, I just got back.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's that like? Do you still feel Canadian, or do you kind of lose a little bit of that?
I've always felt more myself in Asia, in Thailand, number one, Korea, number two. I just feel more comfortable here to just completely be myself. You know, in Canada, and I love my country, you know, and I loved my time in LA. Those were great chapters in life. I couldn't live there anymore after kind of getting back into Asian life and Thai life in particular. Yeah, I would find it impossible. You know, it's definitely expensive. That's shocking. That just is what it is. You know, the Thai people spoil us, man. Like, people back there, it's a little bit colder, I guess you could say, you know, and it's just not as free. I find that it's become very judgmental.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but it's hard to explain for people if they've never been here or if they're not from, you know, like the U.S. or, I mean, even within the U.S., it's kind of a huge country and there's different cultures and mindsets. But I know from where I am in Boston, it's exactly what you just described. People are very cold. People's mentality on life is very different. And the people here, it's just like the culture is so different. It's hard to put into words.
Yeah, now they're all polarized, and, you know, the whole social media thing hasn't helped. Everyone's kind of trying to take a stand and judge each other. And over here, like, as you know, living here, Thailand attracts a weird, wild cast of characters who live here, talking about the expats now. But no one's really out to judge everyone else. I got a crazy group of friends, and they're all crazy in their own right. And back home, man, like, that would be a weird dynamic of people, you know, judging what they're doing with their life or how they live their life. And over here, I just find, like, you can believe what you want. Like, it's freedom. It's freedom. You believe what you want, you do what you want, and you're going to get accepted by the group at large.
I think part of it is if you're crazy enough to travel across the world, whether just for a week or a month or to live permanently, you automatically have something in common with the other people that are here. That's what I noticed when I came here, because I'm a pretty introverted person and, you know, I kind of just do my own thing. But when I came here, I found it so easy to connect with other people. And I think, for one, it's because we're starting from the same place with that mindset. So I totally get what you're saying is, you know, especially you've had so many experiences in your life. I'm still young, but I know you've already lived in Korea. You've had this whole life.
That's his way of saying I'm old.
Yeah, well,
Hey,
in a good way.
The shoe fits, man.
You've had a lot of experiences. Do you meet a lot of people that are in a similar situation to you? Like, they're a bit up in years and they decided to make the move over here?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a lot of people, especially kind of since starting the YouTube channel, you know, and more, it seems to be more and more. Like, and I think it will be more and more. I think there's people back home that are, you know, the word trapped is pretty negative, but I think there's a lot of people back home that might feel trapped, where they now have access to see. They have this window. You're talking about it, like reading A Lonely Planet's one thing, having a window, your TV set, where you can actually see people living this alternate life. And if you don't fit into that North American Western mindset, which I think there's a lot of people that aren't, you know, super right, super left, super, you know, just content with how everything is back there. But they don't have the experience of knowing how to do it, when to do it, what's it really like over there? Is it as good as those videos make it look? You know, I think it's just going to grow and grow over time of people who pull the plug and decide to come here.
Yeah. Did you come across people that sort of judged you for moving to Thailand? Because I asked because, you know, Thailand and Bangkok specifically can sometimes, or it used to more, have a reputation for certain things, certain negative things. Did you get a lot of, you know, pushback?
Like you're going there to hang out with a bunch of Thai hookers?
Basically, yeah.
No, not really. Because I probably would have if I was younger and single. but I've been married forever, man. I got a daughter, and so there wasn't much of that. I didn't encounter much of that because of the stage in life I'm at. Like I say, I'm sure I would have if I was younger, because that's definitely like it is part of Thai life.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I get, it's usually in this order. I get, if I tell someone I moved here or I came here, I get some joke about a lady boy that I've heard before. Then I get some comment about, like ladies of the night. And then, there's just a whole list of things like that. And I think people that have been here, people that live here, people that venture outside of kind of the tourist zones realize that that stuff exists, but it's a small aspect of what this country is.
Yeah, 100%. But I get it because I was one of those people. So it makes me laugh now only because I've actually, opened my mind and understand just by moving here. But when I used to come every year, I'd just stop in Bangkok at the airport. Only, I think, twice in the 20 years of coming here did I ever get out and spend a night or two in Bangkok. So where'd I go? Khao San Road. Right. Where'd I go? Pat Pong. Soy Cowboy. And so when we were planning to move here, we hadn't been to Bangkok in 10 years. My wife and I are like, we're moving to Bangkok. Like, we can't raise our daughter in that environment. Are we crazy? We're thinking the whole city's a giant Khao San Road. And this is recently, man. I was a seasoned traveler. So for people that aren't, I get that that's your perception, but it doesn't take long to realize that's just the craziest thought ever. Soy Cowboy's 200 meters long, maybe, and that's it in a city of 12 million. It's there's plenty more to this city. There's so many layers into this city. But I can see how people think that. It is funny, though.
Yeah, my parents, I convinced them to finally visit me here this past year. And before they came here, I mean, they have no idea. I mean, they just watched like The Hangover. And they imagine there's elephants running through the street and a tiger is going to jump out of the bathroom. Like, they really have no idea. I think they were very surprised when they came here. I think my father, maybe more than my mother, was more open to it now, But it is still very different, and I still like some of that grittiness. Like if you go down to, I don't know, certain places, it's not the same as necessarily like Canada or America, but it's definitely not a bad place to live. I think it's much safer here, and I personally think the quality of life here is so much better than, I don't know about where you're from, but where I'm from, so much happier on a day-to-day basis here.
Oh, dude, I guess it's for me, it's not even a comparison. I couldn't even fathom the difference in my happiness level here compared to back home.
So you must get a lot of people that are interested in moving over here long term, right? What advice would you have for them? Like, what kinds of things come up like very often? If someone said to you, I'm thinking about moving to Thailand or to Bangkok, what do you think I should do? What are the first steps?
Yeah, that's a great question. I decided this year kind of to change things up a little. I started a second YouTube channel just all about relocation to Thailand. So I find myself thinking about these things. Just RW4U, RW4U.
Okay, cool. And I'm going to link all this stuff down below. So.
And it's just talking about things about moving to Thailand. I would say the first thing, it would depend who they are. So if there's someone who has been here for, someone like me who's maybe been here on several vacations, but maybe always goes to the same place, and maybe you're here for 2 weeks at a time, I would say come over and do an exploration trip where you go to some of the different places, do a bit of research, hone in on what sort of vibes and place you're looking for, mountains, city, beaches. I guess I'd start there. And if you're like, I can't even choose between those. I kind of love mountains. I like cities and I like beaches.
And even within those, there's so many because let's talk about beaches. You've got Phuket, you've got Samui, you've got like Koh Chang, and those three are very different.
Very different. So that's where I'd say come on an exploration trip. And if you're thinking of moving here, I guess now if you're thinking of moving here, with a completely blank slate, open book, and you have some time and the ability to move wherever you want, like you're not moving for a job or for a school or for something like this, I'd say come for at least a month, more if you can, a couple of months, and go spend a week in your top 5 kind of places that you think you might want to live, and see what it's like, you know. And then whittle it down from there. You know, if it's beaches you're looking for, spend some time in Phuket, then Samui. Very different. Go up to Koh Chang, you know, like you're saying, maybe even Koh Phangan, but spend some time, explore.
Yeah, I'm sure you get messages like this, but sometimes I get a message that's like, hey, Eric, just had a question about this. I plan on moving to Thailand this year. I'm going to be living in Pattaya, and I'm going to do this, this, and this. And they have all this stuff planned out. And then I asked them, have you been to Thailand before? No, but I've been watching a lot of videos online. I'm like, well, maybe you should come here and check out Pattaya, check out these other places before you decide to, you know, change your whole life to move over here.
Yeah, so. Which is great advice, because, you know, it's and for me it's similar. I've been through this myself. Like Koh Samui, I just came to the same place time and again, and I'm actually moving there this year. I still love it. But what I realized when I came to Bangkok, which I always skipped, is I fucking love Bangkok. And then I go up to Chiang Mai. I'm like, this is an amazing place on so many levels. And I could see myself, if I didn't have such deep kind of roots with friends and stuff in Samui, I could have seen living in either Bangkok or Chiang Mai would be the other 2 places for me, you know?
Okay. Yeah. So that's good advice for people thinking about moving here. Now, I have a friend who's visiting Thailand for the first time next month. He's coming for like 2 to 3 weeks. So let's say someone's seen your videos, or they have an interest in visiting Thailand, but they've never been. They're just coming for a holiday for a few weeks. Can you give like 3 destinations that they should check out on their first trip?
3 destinations. When are they coming?
He's coming February.
February. Yeah, that's like, because the reason I asked that, Chiang Mai is so season dependent. February is like right touch and go. Burning season's going to start sometime late February. But Chiang Mai, I think, is worth a visit. You know, Bangkok's worth a visit for sure. There's some fun times here. I personally love Samui, but I would also... I love a place like Railay Beach. You know, I love that place. I call it the cottage. We have cottage country in Canada. For me, Railay Beach is cottage country in Thailand. Old school Thai vibes completely.
Yeah. That's actually where I brought my parents.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
It was a little rough because, you know, you have to get in a boat to get there. Mm-hmm. You can't, I mean, it's one of the most beautiful beaches probably in the world, forget Thailand. And, but to get there, you can't just walk. You have to get into a boat, and we had to get one of those, you know, the long tail boats. And I forget, you know, I'm here and I'm used to it, but my 60-year-old parents, this is so, you know, weird for them.
Oh yeah. So, last year I took my 80-year-old parents there, and they were same deal. They're like, we got to get on that boat. I'm like, yeah, let me help you up, Mom. But they loved it. I took them to Noon's Bar. It was an experience for them. And then if he's into like getting somewhere a little deeper into nature, like, and down towards Railay, Khao Sok National Park is epic place.
Oh, I haven't made it there yet.
Yeah, epic
because
place.
It's pretty seasonal because it's a rainforest, right?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say it's seasonal. I've been there in all seasons. It can get hot during hot season, but yeah, it's gorgeous.
Okay. How many people do you think have moved to Thailand specifically because of you? You ever think about that?
I do, because it's one of my favorite things that has resulted in doing this. Everything's been a surprise. You know, you start putting videos on YouTube, you don't know that anyone's going to watch. And when people start watching, that's a surprise. When people start coming up to you and saying, I moved here because of your videos, that's a surprise. And that's happened like a fair amount. So how many? I don't know. If I was guessing, at least a couple hundred.
Wow.
You know, I was walking in front of my favorite bar in Koh Samui about a year and a half ago. I get down there. there's a guy walking on the beachfront right along the shore in front of the bar called Lost Bar. Shout out Simon. And this guy looks over and he's like, oh my God, I can't believe you're here. I'm like, why? He's like, my name's Sean. I just sold everything and moved here. And I came to this beach and this bar because I saw it in your videos. And I thought I thought this would be the best neighborhood. And I'm like, whoa. That was one of the first times that someone had done. We ended up partying all night, hanging out till 3 a.m., just laughing our asses off. And since then, there's been a few people say that, which is amazing. If I can, and at first I was nervous. I was always nervous because I'm like, oh shit, did I ruin their life or did I,
He says, I moved here because of you and I regret it. I'm going back home.
Yeah, well, they always say I moved here because of you. And I'm like, oh shit. And then I'd always ask, like, well, are you happy? Oh, yeah, like, it's the best thing I've ever done. I'm like, ooh, all right, cool. Like, this is good.
Yeah. So, but you came in 2019 before COVID. You're here for a few months, and this COVID thing starts. And you initially started posting videos as like a tribute to COVID deaths in
Yeah, it was
Canada.
called the COVID
So it had nothing to do with Thailand.
It was just me in Thailand doing push-ups.
Yeah. So where was the switch?
The switch was a couple months in, had started having fun making those videos and rediscovered the joy of making silly videos like I used to in the late 90s. And I'm like, oh yeah, I do love this. And so right as the first lockdown was about to end, we were going to go back up to Bangkok so our daughter could start going back into school. And I thought, this is it. This is kind of the moment. So on that ferry, I shot 2 videos, one doing push-ups and then my first ever Thai vlog.
What was the first one about?
The trip from Samui to Bangkok. That was it. I'm on this ferry. Here
It wasn't
I am.
some like genius idea. It was just
No, God, no.
Okay.
No
Well,
genius
and do you remember
idea.
what month that was?
That was probably May 2020.
Okay, because I know for a fact I started watching in June.
Yeah, so you're like right there, right at the very beginning.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a wild time. And I mean, it's interesting to think about if one thing here or there didn't happen, like your whole life can be different. Like if COVID didn't happen, maybe you just enjoy your time here and you go off into the sunset and nobody ever knows about you.
Yeah.
But if that happened, all these people wouldn't be moving here because they wouldn't, they wouldn't have had that connection. So they wouldn't be inspired. That's really interesting.
Well, that's the cool thing about life, man. It's and everyone has that same thing going on. All the decisions you make impact you and then them and then other people. And yeah, that's the cool thing about life.
Yeah. And even though, because I thought this was interesting, even though, you built up this huge channel in the beginning or for a while, what camera were you using?
I got that question a lot, and I liked it because it meant it must be good enough. It was the iPhone 11.
Yeah, just an iPhone, like, worse than this one. This is a 12.
An 11.
So, yeah.
And then the mic I used was the real difference maker. It was the iPhone 11.
The iPhone built-in mic.
I just held up. The only
Shout
piece
out
of gear
Apple.
I had was these little handheld tripod for like $40. And for the first at least year and a half, that's all I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that just goes to show that it's not about like gear. It's not even about the technical, how good the picture is. It's more about the community and the message. And I think that's what was so different about you. Your message was so positive and you built this community from day one. You weren't out there trying to flex that you're in a pool, with a floating breakfast. You really just wanted to share your love of Thailand.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It was rated, and it was at that time, I call them the Instagrammy style travel videos, where it's like that poppy music,
Yeah.
and then like close up of you running behind in slow motion. And I'm like, that's like, I first of all, I couldn't make that. Look at me. But secondly, I wouldn't want to make that, and I don't really want to watch it. There was a time where it's cool, it looks amazing, production value, awesome cinematography, amazing color and shots. And I thought I just wanted to be more about sharing the experience of Thailand. If I could try and give people the feeling that they're just hanging out and going on a little Thai adventure with me, that to me was what it was all about.
Yeah. Do you ever have to deal with negative comments or, you know, people that see you in real life, but I don't know, it's like not a good interaction?
Negative comments all the time. Yeah, they come flying in, and they used to really bug me. And then about a year or year and a half ago, I was able to change my mindset for the most part. Weird thing about being human, man. You can get 999 positive comments, but I just want to fucking read that. Why is that asshole saying that?
It's kind of like a blessing and a curse because you get to reach so many people and have a positive impact, but also you've got to be one of the most recognized foreigners in this country.
Yeah.
It's like you and Chad. It's
Yeah,
like you guys are the
yeah.
two most recognizable. I mean, Chad because he's like 7 feet tall, but you know, also you have a very specific look and a specific energy. So, I mean, how often do you get recognized? Is it like every 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say every 5 minutes. Yeah.
And it's tough because I know you're a very nice, polite person. You don't want to be rude, but sometimes, you know, maybe it's not a good time, right? So how do you handle that?
It's hard, man. Because you don't want you want to give as much time as you can. The only time that it really can bother me is if I'm kind of on my way to either meet someone who I don't want to be late for, or to get a shot. You know, I'm going to get a shot at sunset, and I timed it out because I know it's going to take me a half hour to get where I want to get that last shot. And then I start walking there, and then it's like, I gotta go. So you're caught in this weird zone. Most people are super cool, quick hello, you know, and very supportive. I've never, for all the thousands of negative comments, there's been a grand total of 0 negative comments
Really?
in person. That goes to show, though, right, the nature of the beast, you know. And negative comments, I don't consider criticism a negative comment if it's normal constructive criticism. That's great. You know, negative comments that are just, you know, the world of the internet trolls, they don't crawl out of their basements, man. Like, they're just stuck living some weird life. They move on from me they're angry at me, and then they're angry at another thing on the internet, and then they tweet some angry shit. It's like, you know, just live that way. But none of them do it in person. 0.
Wow,
Grand total is
really
0.
cool. I mean, even me, sometimes I get, now it's a little bit more, but people will recognize me in person.
Yeah.
Sometimes they say something, sometimes they don't say anything, but then they go on and they leave a comment. Oh, I saw you here.
Oh, I saw you.
Did that happen to you?
That's happened. Yeah, and then you're like, oh, that's.
Yeah.
Are they following me?
Because do you ever worry that, you know, not that you're doing anything bad, but if you're out with your friends, you're having a beer somewhere, I mean, anybody could be listening to you, could recognize you, could.
Yeah, dude, I'm like, what the hell have I done? Why am I doing this to myself, man? Like, you know, you go out, sometimes you just want to let loose, have some fun, right? And, you know, and just not worry that people are watching or listening or something, but whatever, you know, my life's pretty much an open book. So it is what it is, but it's a weird dynamic for sure.
Yeah, I guess it's just part of the gig, right?
Yeah.
Now, besides the channel, which at this point in time has over 400,000 subscribers, if you haven't seen it, I mean, I don't know how you haven't seen this guy if you've watched anything about Thailand, because I'm pretty sure if you just type in like any word plus Thailand into YouTube, you're one of the first things that come up, because you've done so many different videos on so many different topics, from condo tours to food to, you know, just cost of living, like all different kinds of things. But one of the things that I really liked was your Pay It Forward series. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I mean, it started the first time I got a YouTube AdSense paycheck. I'm like, oh, this is wild. I started this kind of for fun, and so I took it down. This was during COVID. I'm like, I'm gonna just take this and give it to my buddy Noon at the Raleigh coffee shop that I like to hang out at. He's hurting, and so did that. And then it started getting me thinking, you know, like, this is a country that gives me an absolutely joyous life. You know, like I got to pinch myself. Sometimes my friends and I chat. It's like, do you ever, when you're laying down to bed at night, think like this is too good to be true? Life's too good here, you know, and feel guilty almost. And we're like, yeah, like that's how we feel. That's how I feel about it. And so just thought to try and work it in as a natural and ongoing part of the effort to find opportunities to give back to Thailand in various ways. So it's awesome that I can do that we can do that. It wouldn't happen. It's not me. It's all the people who watch and all that stuff. Like that's why it happens.
I recently saw your video. It was in northern Thailand, and you were talking to a girl, and she was eligible for like a scholarship. And can you just say a little bit about that? Because that was if you're gonna watch one video from Chris, I highly recommend that one.
Yes.
So it's like the kind of video where you're in tears watching it, you know, sitting alone in your living room.
Yeah, that was an incredible experience. Sia is her name, Anantaya, and she grown up in the northern Thai farming community. I've spent some time up there in the last year and a half with my buddy Michael at I Care. This guy dedicates every day. I just kind of dip in and dip out. But yeah, it's tough living, and there's like 1 million plus kids that live in this never-ending cycle of growing up in the remote farming communities, the hill tribes and stuff, where, you know, $5 a day is a family's kind of wage. The kids generally don't even go to school. The parents see no use in it, and they need help on the farm. And so this girl kind of wanted to break free of this crazy cycle, and that's just a miraculous thought to have when you're out near the border of Myanmar, growing up your whole life, and you think, I think I can get out of this. Well, how do you do it? You get sent to an orphanage to go to school north of Bangkok. She does that, gets great marks. Well, now she's graduating high school. I'd love to go to university. They'll have me. They'd love to have me. Well, your parents aren't paying on their $5 a month. So this organization, I Care, tries to rally together as many scholarships as they can for kids like her. And she was one that was kind of right on the edge this year. And so we just decided to use some of the YouTube money and give her a full 4-year scholarship. Met her a couple months ago. She had her nursing uniform on. And the beauty is, she's like, what are you going to do when you graduate? Oh, I'm going to work in Bangkok and I'm going to make money. This isn't how they think. Every single one of these remote hill tribe people that I've seen break free of this, 100% of them have said, I'm learning nursing so I can come back to my home community, my village, and try and help improve life here. Another will say, I'm going to be a teacher, and he goes back. He could teach here and make all kinds of money, build this. You know, he's back in the remote areas trying to pull his whole community forward with him. So it was a treat to be able to
yeah, it's amazing.
do that.
I love direct action like that, because it's one thing to donate to just an organization. I think a lot of people think they can't make a difference, and not to be, you know, sound cheesy or anything, but you don't have to have a lot of money necessarily or have a YouTube channel with hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Like, if you want to, you can. There are opportunities out there to directly affect other people's lives. So that's great. And what's even better is, I bet by doing that, or by doing this series, you've inspired other people to go out and help, you know, people that need it.
Yeah, which is amazing. I mean, Michael, my buddy, called me a few weeks later. He goes, I'm doing a happy dance. One of your viewers who watched that video found us and said they wanted to give a full scholarship to another kid at 460,000 baht. That a viewer, and they did it anonymously. Like,
wow.
Talk about amazing people out there. So yeah, it's awesome. It's win-win, man. Like, that's like, life should be win-win as much as it can be in business, in personal stuff. You know, this whole nothing's different. Win-win can exist. Half the world doesn't believe that. They think there's got to be a winner and a loser.
That's the Western mentality, I think.
Yeah, and not only the Western mentality, man. Like, I would imagine there's a lot of people everywhere that feel that, especially in business, and it's just weird to me.
Sure.
Like, everybody wins. We all win. Everyone's happier, man.
Yeah. I was looking at your channel today, and I noticed that you've got a lot going on besides the actual channel. You have an app. You have a website where it has, I think, like travel tours. You have something going on with like finding condos in Bangkok. So tell me about all that other stuff. Like, tell me, what is that about? Who is it for?
Yeah, so that was all born from my nephew moving over here. He got excited, called me. We're super tight. He said, Uncle Chris, your YouTube channel's taken off. You could start businesses. I said, you come and do it, man. And so he did. So I blame him. He started, he's been working hard for 3 years. Both of us have done it all together. I've learned about myself that I love just starting up little businesses, and I don't like running, or existing kind of in businesses. So the whole premise of all of it, the mission is help people move, live, retire, or travel in Thailand. If we can create a tool or a service to help people in a sea or in a country of where you might not be from here, where you're probably not from here, real estate, who do you trust? All we can promise is you can trust us. Are we the best? I can't promise that. I can promise we'll try hard and you can trust us. Great, says a lot of people. So we have a network of agents that will help people find condos or houses on Samui or whatever they're looking for. The app. You want to travel here and you want to kind of break free. My big breakthrough was when someone started taking me to some local restaurants. I'd been coming here for years, and it changed the game and my whole perception of Thailand.
Yeah, I was checking out the app, and when I first downloaded it, I wasn't exactly sure like what it was about. But as soon as I opened it, I totally got it, because basically it's like your own Google Maps with all of your favorite places.
Yeah.
It's like if your friend told you, oh, you're visiting? Oh, check out this place. Check out that place. If you want to I saw a nearby here. I'm going to put some screenshots for the app here. But there was a restaurant near here, and it's like good for khao soy noodles. I'm like, oh, I love khao soy.
Hom Duan.
So now guess what?
Place rocks.
I'm going to go there.
Yeah,
so
it's amazing.
If you're coming to Thailand, even if you live here and you just want some recommendations, you want to try some new things, because sometimes people like me, we get stuck in the same places. It's a great app. It's called Teeny.
Yeah, Teeny means here in Thai.
Right.
But it's meant to not be Google Maps. Google Maps is great. It has everything. People click, oh, that place has 3,000 reviews. Let's all go to the same place.
Right.
This is just
it's
meant
like personal recommendations.
Yeah, personal recommendations, or for areas that I don't know, expats who've been living there for 10 years, my buddies. So it's almost like when you come here, I used to love coming here, and I had friends who had been living here for years. And when they're like, oh, I got a place, let's go, I got a place to take you. When an expat who lives in a country that you visit takes you around, it's like it changes everything. And so that's what that's meant to be.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And I noticed you also have some sort of like travel tour or some program like that.
Yeah. A great couple of Australian guys who run a big tour company in Australia reached out to me and said, we loved your channel, mate. I can't do Australian accents. We love your channel, and we want to design a tour around some of your favorite spots, a few tours. Would you want to partner with us on that? And so we met. It's like, they're great guys. And so we've that's been going for close to a year now. And so far, I think 25% of the customers who've come over on these tours have moved here.
Wow.
It's crazy. And most of them are here for the first time. Most of them are like we talked about earlier, they've never been here. Like, it's the tour. I get it. You're not going to book a group tour if you know what you're doing in Thailand. But the people that come, these are people who've never been to Asia. They're like, this just takes all the thinking about it. And what I realized is they're coming to scout it out, So, and we didn't expect that, but that's what's happened.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
is there something else you might be working on you can talk about, or can you not talk about it yet?
Yeah, I mean, I can. I don't know exactly when this is going to be on the old YouTube.
Within a week or two.
Okay, well then it's probably launching this week. Yeah, it's going to be the Thai language challenge, man. I've wanted to learn Thai since I moved here. I'm a lazy, terrible kind of guy with no discipline when it comes to that sort of stuff. So just we're creating an online Thai language course partnership with me and Adam and Fa. Fa's the teacher. She's the best Thai teacher I've ever had or seen. And so, yeah, it's going to be an online Thai language course. It starts this week. We're going to, we're limiting it to 50 people. There's going to be one-on-one support. People all over the world can jump in and see how much Thai we can all learn in like 100 days, a Thai language challenge.
Cool. I think a lot of people that either visit here or want to move here, they want to learn Thai, at least a little bit, but they don't know where to start. They don't know where to go. Maybe the things that they've seen before, they weren't really into. So to have another option out there that's kind of got like your twist on it, I think that's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Like it's like a virtual classroom, because a lot of the online courses or podcasts, I've tried them. They didn't really work for me. To me, the only thing that worked was going to a class. And I'd recommend that more than anything. If you can sign up to a local Thai language school, that's better. What we're trying to do is kind of create a virtual classroom, and we're going to shoot it in a classroom and give people a virtual seat in that classroom. And I think that'll be good. And yeah, even if you just want survival Thai, come and flash some around on your next trip. Yeah. Okay. ThaiLanguageChallenge.com. Shameless plug.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Next podcast we do, it's going to be 100% in Thai. So get ready for that.
Yeah.
Cool. So, I mean, you've been here, living here now with your family for about 4 years-ish, right?
Yeah, this will be 5 years. This will be 5 years in July.
Do you see yourself being here for the rest of your life, or is there something else maybe in the future?
No, I mean, used to think when we moved here that for some reason, don't know why now, but we always had in the back of our mind, my wife and I, like, we'll probably live there until a certain point, and then we'll go back to Canada. You know, that point being maybe around the age of 70. And then now that we've been here, we're like, and we visited back there a few times, we're like, yeah, like, why would we go back then? The thought is we'll probably be here till the end, man, like as a base camp. I won't be here 12 months of the year, probably 9 months of the year. Want to do some traveling, visit Korea, visit friends and family back home, see some of these places I haven't seen. But as a permanent base camp, Thailand till I'm dead, man.
Cool. I hope I make it that long. I hope I'm here as long as you are.
Yeah, nice. As long as this place doesn't go changing. That's my biggest fear. Don't go changing, Thailand. Yeah. Sometimes I literally get scared about that and anxious. What if this place changed?
Yeah.
Shit, that would suck.
Do you have any upcoming plans for the channel? Do you working on any special videos for that?
Any special videos for the channel? Well, there is a really special one that probably came out right around the time this video came out. Surprise for my dad. It's a real personal video.
Okay,
so
cool.
Not really Thailand related, completely off the wall video, but it's a surprise for my dad. He just turned 80, and that one's fun. I'm enjoying that. I'm cutting that right now. And then, I don't plan too far in advance, so we'll see what happens.
Cool. So where can people find you online? Can you just name, like...
Yeah, Retired Working for You.
On YouTube?
That's YouTube, Facebook. I'm on, like, I have Instagram and TikTok and all these things. But really, for me, it's all about YouTube.
Okay, and you have the second channel too, right?
Second channel's just RW4U. That's only for people who are thinking about relocating to Thailand. Super specific videos about that.
And you've got a great website, so I want to make sure people know about that, which has info on, like, the tours. It has the app.
Yeah, retiredworkingforyou.com.
And... if you're looking for a condo or something and you want some help with that, maybe
Yeah,
train?
any of that stuff. And if you're not, then just enjoy the videos.
Cool.
You know.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming by. Like I said, I feel like I've gone full circle now because this started from being alone in my bedroom in Boston. You were my taste of Thailand during COVID, and now here we are in the greatest city in the world. So
I love what you're doing here, man. This is a great podcast. Thailand needed exactly what you're doing, so keep it rocking, brother.
thank you so much. Guys, if you want to see more of what's going on here in Bangkok, hit the subscribe button. Go check out Chris's channel, and we will see you in the next one.